It's funny how stuff works. Yesterday, just out of the blue, I decided that I was going to make a loaf of bread. It's been years since I made my own bread. It's so much easier to buy it. But I decided I was going to make my own. And sure enough, I got the 11 cups of flour and the yeast and everything I needed to make the bread. And I ended up with 4 loaves of bread, not just one. But man, they are delicious. So today, when I decided to look around for a block to feature for our block of the week, I was looking for something interesting to do. And guess what I discovered? I discovered that November 17th is Homemade Bread Day. Who would have guessed that? So I was looking for a quilt block pattern that might go with some bread. And sure enough, I found this one called Bread Basket. Now this particular pattern is missing the handle that goes on it, but I'll show you how to sew that on and how to make it, because it may not come with your pattern. And this block is going to present a few challenges, because what I've done is drawn it so that I can make as few seams as possible, which might make the sewing a little more interesting, but it's going to make the block look a lot better. This is Penny Hallgren from QuiltBlockLibrary.com, and I'm ready to get started, so let's go. The pieces on the block are all cut out, and you can tell we've got some interesting shaped pieces here. We've got some extended diamond shapes and some triangles, which are pretty normal, and then a square, and then we've got rectangles and some bigger triangles. What I'm going to do is put this center section together so that I can attach this triangle and this triangle last. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take the easy way out and sew these two pieces together. My object always is to chain sew, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to attach these two and then these two, chain sew those together, and then I'm going to attach these two also. Now these pairs are sewn together, so the next step is to sew this to this, and then I'm going to attach this triangle on the side there. We're getting very close. So the next step is to sew these together and then attach the bottom to that patch. Now we're ready to finalize the center part of this basket, so all I need to do is sew these two sections together, and then we'll be ready to attach the bigger triangles. Now we have the whole center piece of our basket sewn together, so we're just left with attaching the bottom and the top, and I'm just going to start with the bottom for the heck of it. Because there's so many bias pieces here, there's a tendency to get these pieces stretched out of shape, and you can see this one is a little bit wavy, so it might have already gotten a little bit stretched. One of the things to do to make sure these match up is to take your bottom triangle here, figure out where the center is by folding it in half, putting a pin in, and then matching it with the center of this basket piece, which I know is going to be where all of these come together. So I'm just going to line that up, pin it, and then ease the sides in so that the sides match with the tips of the triangles, and then I'll be ready to sew it together. The bottom of the basket here is finished, and because we want to have this handle coming up here, I think what I'm going to do is make the handle and then attach it so that it can be sewn into the seams of the basket when I sew the basket part of the triangle. So before I sew that together, then I'm going to show you how to make this the handle. We've got the block here, the bottom part that's done and the top part, and now I've decided that I want to make my basket handle about 1 inch wide, mostly because I have a 1 inch wide bias tape measure, and I think that'll probably be a nice size basket handle. So the first thing I need to do is figure out how long a strip I need, and the easiest way for me to figure that out is just to take a tape measure and kind of lay it out on top here. And I'd rather have something that's too big than too little, so I'm just going to lay it here and measure it. This ends up being about 8.5 inches, so I'm probably going to make a piece of bias tape that's like 9.5 inches just for the heck of it. I'm just going to pin this about 1 inch away from this side. And I'll pin it 1 inch away from the other side. and then I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine, and I'm just going to do a real straight stitch around both sides to attach that. Once I started sewing the handle on, I realized that this has a seam down here already, so there's already a row of stitching. And I decided that putting 2 rows of stitching on this on the inside and the outside was going to be kind of ridiculous. So I added some dimension by making just 1 stitching line in the center, and then this handle kind of sticks out. So the next thing I need to do is just attach this, and again I'm going to find the center of this, put a pin in it, match it up, and once I have attached this, I'm going to trim these little pieces off. And now this block is finished. This is an 8-inch little basket block, and I'm going to take it over to my ironing board and iron it so that it's all nice and flat. So our bread basket block is all complete, and you can see this is a block that you can either put on point or you can set it into a quilt on sideways, and it's going to go across sideways, either that way or that way. In any case, it looks like all I need is my loaf of bread, maybe a glass of wine, some cheese, and thou. So enjoy making this block, and if you're not already there, head on over to www.quiltblocklibrary.com and get your free download of this pattern and browse around. See, we've got hundreds of patterns. This is Penny Hallgren wishing you peaceful piecing.